Well, good evening, everybody, for your daily update live out of Crystal Falls, Michigan at the Iron County Courthouse concerning the lawsuits of Laura Frizzo versus the city manager of Iron River, David Thayer. So, I've got a lot of notes from today, and you're just going to have to bear with me. I hope my feed is coming through okay. Behind me is the courthouse that this proceeding is being held in. All right, it's going to be 30 minutes at least, so here we go. Day 4. Day 4 started a little bit late this morning, about 9:30, and TV6 is here. Daily News and the Iron County Reporter are here. I'm understanding now that TV6 will be here for the remainder of the trial. At 9:45, the public and the media was asked to leave the courtroom. Private matter came up between a juror and a family member, some sort of family emergency. The juror was not excused, and he remained in the courtroom. We went back into session. Laura Frizzo took the stand. I apologize if any of this noise, semis behind me or behind the camera, making anything hard for you to hear. I don't know, I'm just going to wait till that truck passes. It sounds kind of loud. Anyway, immediately the defense went to Laura and started talking back to Laura on their cross-examination. They again brought up the pink slippers. And again, you guys need to watch all of the other day 1, day 2, day 3. Thank you, Ken. You can hear just fine. Awesome. They brought up the pink slippers again about how city manager confronted Laura or talked behind her back about some slippers that she had wore. She come in on her day off of work. She was getting ready to go to a court proceeding. She stopped at work to get her shoes. She was in her dress uniform, but her shoes were at work. She came to work to get her shoes, and Thayer apparently saw her in her sandals and made a wisecrack about pink sandals, which was pink slippers, but whatever, wasn't true. Also, they really got on her about her job apps, about her unemployment, and about why places she was applying. They wanted proof that she applied. They wanted proof that she truly sent in all these applications. They talked a lot about the saved items and the things that she should have saved, being that she was with unemployment. They wanted her to record every single place that she ever applied to, and they wanted proof that you did. You and I both know that if you apply to a job, they don't necessarily keep your application. They might throw it in the garbage if they don't want to hire you. It's not up to an employer to keep that information. Needless to say, this was 18 months. 18 months after she applied is when they wanted this information. They said they talked to all these different employers and nobody remembered who Laura was 18 months later. Like, who keeps any information on places I might apply? They asked about the resumes, and I'm just going to skip over this. If I skip anything, whatever it is. Anyway, during her employment at Olive Garden, she says she applied at 4 to 5 different places in that 6 months. The defense indicated that she should have been applying all over the place during her employment for Olive Garden. If you have a job and you're making a little something, why would you keep looking for another job? Obviously, she wanted to be an officer, and that's what she's trying to do. But in her testimony of all the places she applied, nobody would hire her. And they kept suggesting that Laura lied. They kept saying that Laura lied. They talked about when she moved to Indiana. And they kept going back, sending applications. They talked about all the places that she should have kept records for. They asked Laura if she ever asked City Manager Thayer, the person she's suing, or Mary Tarsi, if they would recommend to her, if they would give her a recommendation to another job, some sort of piece of paper saying this is a qualified candidate, perfect for a job. Why would she? Why would you approach the person that just you believed harassed you, sex discrimination, and fired you, why would you go to them and ask for a recommendation? They kept talking about the deposition. Everybody knows the deposition is before a trial. You talk to both attorneys. You kind of give them an idea about what you're going to testify about. They kept trying to say that everything in that deposition was true. Like, suppose they asked her what color the sky was, and she looked up and said blue. They would say that she was a liar because behind her there were clouds. Just for instance, you know, a lot of stuff like that, like your attitude or the way you say something was perceived way differently than she meant it. I really don't feel that the defense actually helped themselves this morning against Laura. Also, the defense told, you're going to love this one, I'm going to get a little closer to the camera. The defense says an employer can harass an employee at work to make them do as told. And it's starting to snow. So, an employer in Michigan can harass an employee to force them to do something as told. I don't believe that to be true. I think that falls under micromanaging, and in Michigan, micromanaging is not right. It's against the law. I actually won an unemployment case myself for micromanaging. And as an employer, you cannot micromanage somebody. If you give them a job, say for police chief, she knows what her job is. She doesn't need to be micromanaged to do her job. The defense says that anything on Dead North series, and if you haven't seen Dead North, what this whole thing is about, you need to watch it. We've been watching all sorts of episodes or parts of Dead North during this trial, and the defense, as I said, suggests that Laura, everything that's said in that documentary, the defense is saying that Laura, that was all truth. And the fact of the matter is, you and I both know that these are all scripted programs. They're TV shows. Laura had a script to follow. Somebody wrote that for her. At-will employer. In Michigan, I can fire you at will. I don't have to give you a reason. I can give you a reason or whatever. It sucks, but that's the way it is. They also accused Laura of being sexist against men. Not that David Thayer was sexist against her or treated her in a different way than he did other men, but Laura was sexist against men. When asked about others talking about sexual, they asked Laura, have you ever discussed with any other employees, have any other employees come to you about sexual discrimination at their workplace by David Thayer? The defense objected. No, we don't want this brought in. They brought it in. And indeed. I'm not sure if I crossed somewhere on. You know what? I did. Okay, this last part, I did that myself. When asked about talking about discrimination, cross it done. I think I cut myself off here somewhere. I don't know. I apologize. It's been a long day. Oh, let me just check here real fast. I guess we're just going to skip over that. I can't figure out what the heck I wrote. They iterated that they're... okay, they were still talking to Laura. Okay. Laura says, yes, Rachel did. We're talking about, again, about the sexual discrimination. Had Laura ever seen anybody else discussing it? Yes, Rachel did. They also, Laura also talked to another employee, one of the ones that resigned because David Thayer made her feel as though she was worthless. And they iterated the fact that David Thayer talked about crying and said that crying is a woman's issue, that if you are crying, it's a woman's issue. Basically, she came in to talk to David Thayer about an issue she was having at home with the divorce and everything else. She had a tear. She wiped it away and apologized. David said to her, "It's okay. It's a woman's thing." Laura said that Thayer acted like she didn't exist, that Thayer would talk to male officers privately on issues that she should have been aware of. I just saw somebody post, "What is my prediction on the outcome?" I predict that Laura will win this case. Laura's original contract for work was signed by the mayor of Iron River, not by the city manager at the time. When the new city manager, David Thayer, was hired, a new contract was never written out. Mayor Tarsi was still the binding person signing the bottom of that contract. David Thayer never made another one. At the time that Laura was fired from her job, her contract was signed by Mayor Tarsi, not David Thayer. They wanted to make that point. The former male police chief got longevity pay. I don't understand this whole issue. It's something about, you'll have to look it up. Maybe you know what I'm talking about, longevity pay. Laura was not offered that, and that was actually taken away from her. Laura regularly talked to the mayor and council as posted in the city charter. In the city charter, it requires the police chief to attend meetings and to talk about the city. Thayer wanted her to stop, did not want her to attend meetings, told her that it was his responsibility to discuss police functions with the mayor or city council members, even though the charter said something totally different. They went on to say again, Laura says the former city manager wanted Laura to stop investigating the murder. Instead, they wanted her to focus on blight and enforcement of abandoned vehicles in town. Screw the murder, screw the missing person, never mind about Chris Regan. Just forget the whole situation and worry about blight in the city. Does that sound right to you? Would you tell an officer to stop investigating a murder and worry about blight? I don't think so. A lot of the stuff the defense brought up concerning Dead North, they were saying that Laura was talking directly against David Thayer, when in fact, most of the comments in Dead North, she was talking about the previous city manager, Perry. Laura sent monthly reports to the city council as she did, and I think we talked about that. He wanted her to stop. The first report that Thayer made to the city council and the mayor talks about I'm sorry. The first report that Laura wrote under the current David Thayer's management position, she actually spoke in this report and said, she says Thayer is a good leader and says he has the same values, and that she really looked forward to creating an awesome city with this new city manager. Laura said that she was trying to get the longevity contract in her contract because being an at-will state, she did not want to fear being fired. She just needed extra protection. Letter from Thayer confirming he said, "You bitch." Yes, he admitted it. He admitted that he said "you bitch" in written form or during the deposition or whichever. He wrote down "you bitch." If you recall, there was a phone conversation between him and Laura where before the phone was hung up, he said "you bitch" and he slammed the phone down. Now that was heard by Laura on her end, and that was heard by an officer that testified today. We'll be getting that soon. And he was outside of that room when he heard the word bitch. He doesn't know if it was "you bitch," if it was "that bitch," or how he said it, other than he heard bitch and he heard the sound of a phone being slammed down. And again, city manager admits that he called Laura a bitch. Then they went to cross redirect. This is where Laura's attorney comes back to talk about all of the other stuff the defense talked about. They're talking about how Laura never got a job description from Thayer, that Thayer never signed this new contract, which we kind of talked about. Thayer told Laura to restrict to only reporting to one page. I guess this was after he told her not to do anything. If you ever go to any city council meetings, you will notice the chief of police is always part of those meetings. If you go to a city council meeting, you will notice that, a county commissioner meeting, you will notice sometimes the sheriff himself will attend those meetings. And at that point, we did take break, and at that point, I did make a video on my Facebook page, and I do encourage you to go down below. The link is right below there. You can go to my Facebook page. You can watch that link. You can see some old pictures from earlier today. You can see a lot of the posts I've been making about this case. A lot of the information is on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, I'm sorry. Not going to really be able to help you out on that. But I encourage you to go there and watch. I also encourage you, I just posted a new playlist last night specifically for this. It's hashtag, actually I don't even know a hashtag, I think it's just Dead North dash Laura Frizzo. Check that out. I've included all the days here that I'm doing these updates, as well as the 3 city manager meetings that I did attend during this whole thing. Got kicked. Jim and Wendy got kicked out of a city meeting yesterday. That's weird. That would be very strange to get kicked out of a city meeting. All right, so after lunch, we heard testimony from Dr. Danny Yarger. He has 50 years in the state of Michigan practicing. He's been licensed for 50 years. He is also the Iron County medical examiner for this county. Testified today. They were talking about the, if you watched any of my other videos I've just talked about, we talked about a couple that came into the police station that wanted a death certificate, and Laura tried to explain to him that she is not responsible, that the medical examiner is, and these people basically went upstairs and complained to Thayer after this happened, and that indeed was Laura's last day on the job. Anyway, the medical examiner testified that it takes 3 to 6 months for results to come back, and that he indeed told those people before they came and confronted Laura that it was his responsibility, that they were waiting on toxicology reports, that until the toxicology came back, they could not issue a death certificate. I think that pretty much just covers that. I don't want to really get too much into that. Thayer never talked to the medical examiner about the death certificates. Never asked him anything about that entire thing. The doctor says Laura is good at investigating. She's honest, she's hardworking, and sometimes over the top in her investigations. Meaning that if she really saw something that she knew was right there in front of her, she was going at it no matter who said what. Says he is Laura's doctor. He is the one that gave Laura the first doctor note. And this is where we start to discover that Laura had a lump. Laura needed a biopsy done. Laura had a mammogram done that showed the lump. Even though they believed that it wasn't cancerous, she wanted a second opinion. And this medical leave had something to do with that, in conjunction with the emotional distress she was seeing, with the way she was treated, the fact that she hadn't had a day off in months, that she was working 80 to 100 hours a week. She needed a break. She needed a day off. She needed 2 days off. She needed 2 weeks off. Instead, that was the last time she worked. After a few weeks, he wrote a note allowing her back. He cited stress, press issues, long hours. She said needed time off. And the doctor discussed that he works for free for friends. Doesn't charge Laura. He is a family friend and a family doctor, and that's just how he acts. He never put a reason on the off-work slips due to HIPAA. If you're familiar with HIPAA, a doctor cannot disclose medical issues with anybody, especially an employer or people like that. An employer can send a request, but the patient has to agree with it. He or she has to sign this agreement letting those records be transferred over. The doctor issued a return to work, but didn't sign it. He admits it's a weakness, but the city manager never called him to ask why he didn't sign it. Thayer sends message asking for medical records. Info includes talks of city policy, trying to get the doctor to give him this medical reason why she's not at work. Now I gotta wait. Oh, good. That was only on a half hour. I thought it was going to ring all times. Okay. He specifically asked the doctor for mental illness records. There was never no talk of mental illness. There was never no talk of a physical ailment. There was never no talk of why she took medical leave. Why Thayer automatically went with mental illness, I have no idea. I just noticed my beard is a little off there. Ooh, I might need to put a little color in there, hey? I told my wife I should dye my beard red, but I look really Amish then. Anyway, so they did not accept his doctor's slip, and in fact, the doctor said that the fact that Thayer asked for these records, knowing with HIPAA involved, the doctor says this was very unusual because all employers know what HIPAA means. Every employer knows. They tried to cite some sort of federal guidelines that the doctor would have had to have released this information, but he was incorrect. This doctor testified that the second doctor who did the fitness exam never asked for a medical diagnosis because that doctor knew that HIPAA still applied. See, a doctor can't even ask another doctor about patient records. You have to agree to that. HIPAA applies. It says doctor doing fitness exam knew Thayer because they were associates. Excuse me for a second. I gotta put on gloves. My fingers are frozen. I'm sure I'll get some wisecracks about the pretty color of my gloves. Oh, jeepers creepers. All right. Suggested limiting Laura to 40 hours per week for 3 months. She said, you know, due to all the stuff. He basically wanted her to take some time off, or at least only work 40 hours a week, because who works more than, you know, who's supposed to work that much? Dr. Childs, who did the second opinion, told Laura's doctor that she was indeed fit for duty and could resume work. That was November 3rd exam for that second exam. The exam was issued on the 16th, meaning it was done, completed. She's ready for work on November 16th. And on December 9th, she was fired from her job. Thayer never would have known medical reasons or mental questions. He wouldn't have known any reason as to why she had medical. And under cross-examination, again, over the course of the last few days, the defense has purposely, or maybe accidentally, I'm starting to think purposely now that it's happened again, they are putting evidence up on a very large TV screen before anybody has any before giving attorneys a chance to object. So, like for instance, if I put up a picture for 2 seconds and I dropped it off, you would have enough time to look at it and think to yourself, what was that? What did I see? That's kind of what they're doing. They're putting stuff up on the screen for the jury to see and then dropping it off. Putting stuff up, dropping it off. It's like, why are you doing this? They did that a couple of times. They actually admitted the evidence, but the fact that they kept trying to do it that way just seemed over the top. They kept going over records that the doctor keeps for Laura. Again, this doctor is not a very good record keeper. He stated sometimes he might write a report days after something actually happened, and he wasn't really good on dates. Why would he be? He wasn't charging Laura. He was helping Laura. And some of this part, while the doctor was describing what was going on, I actually observed David smiling and just making some, almost like he was making a joke about what was being said. Not very smart to do that in front of the jury, sir. The doctor's notes that he wrote for himself during this whole time, the first notes that he wrote about for her leave talked about the breast biopsy, stressed, and being exhausted. That exam was held at the city hall at the police station, which apparently for this doctor was not unusual. Continued to say that she needed time off. Continued to, doctor says she didn't ask for time off, that it was his idea. Again, they were using doctor notes and dates as fact, even though he said sometimes that they could be different dates. Maybe he wrote them on the wrong dates, or maybe he wrote the wrong date down. Even this doctor admitted sometimes he didn't know what day it was. That he worked a lot of emergency room hours, that he did a lot of volunteer hours. Again, he asked for medical records for Laura, that he was trying to cite different reasons as to why I need these records, that as a doctor, you have to give me these records. The doctor said even under the code of ethics, he would never release these records to David. Screw HIPAA, never mind HIPAA, just code of ethics itself would stop this. They kept trying to say that doctors should have released the records, kept talking about federal rights, and doctor kept saying that he didn't have to send it to him. Going over the mammogram report, shows the cyst, talks about how this was nothing to worry about, not cancer, they believe. No biopsy was needed, they thought. But again, doesn't Laura have a right? Don't I have a right to a second opinion if I don't like my doctor's suggestion? Don't I have a right to go forward and do it myself, or do whatever needed to be done? The defense implied that a biopsy wasn't needed. The doctor says Laura was worried. She wanted a second opinion. She had a breast lump. The implied doctors gave Laura a 2 weeks vacation and started to suggest that he actually lied to help Laura get this vacation. Doctor said he was afraid that she might cross the line if worked more than 40 hours. Suggested she take only 40 hours. That was a suggestion, not a demand. After the biopsy, she was given a note to return. The defense rests. Laura's attorney cites federal laws saying they didn't have to HIPAA, stuff like that. Again, don't mind me, I'm just trying to skip around here as quick as I can. I don't want to make this a hour-long video. They kept talking a lot about the biopsy and talking about this and that, and it turns out actually in the end that I guess Laura never actually had a biopsy. I guess maybe Laura got down to Indiana and decided she didn't want to have one. Whatever the reason was, I guess that's how it happened. Yeah, the defense says she never even had a biopsy. Doctor says he wouldn't be surprised because sometimes mistakes happen. Maybe miscommunication, maybe this, or maybe she just changed her mind. Defense was trying to push. They are saying that Laura had liposuction. Now, Laura says she never had liposuction. The doctor thinks that possibly the liposuction could have had something to do with the issue in her breast, that perhaps something along medical terms could be misconstrued in the wrong way. Defense is trying to define why she took time off. Doctor thought she was getting a biopsy. Doctor again suggests that she be restricted to 40 hours. Suggested, not required. Suggested. Dr. Yeager was excused at 2:40 p.m. Next on the stand we have Daryl Walters. He is a computer tech who was in the office the day The family, the two people came in to make their complaints about the death certificate, and he was actually hearing. The video that we watched and recorded had no sound. Daryl was actually able to talk about what he heard being said. I'm not going to stick a whole lot of time on him because I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. So we had testimony this afternoon by Nick Hrabowski. He's a retired police officer from the city of Iron River, 23 years experience, and he was the union president for this local area. He describes Laura as no complaints, excellent worker, great ethics, always courteous, works most days. She was always there. He never saw Laura mistreat the public. He did say that he objected to her doing duties as the chief of police, that he objected to it. Why? Because Laura wasn't getting paid as the chief of police. Nick Hrabowski, again, was union president, so he stood for unions with, police, and he objected that she wasn't receiving proper pay. He confirms that Perry, the former manager, did have a drinking problem and often smelled alcohol on him. Thought he was intoxicated quite a few times at work, and he just tried to avoid him. He noticed 200 hours missing. He accumulated 200 vacation hours, and it was discussed about possibly paying out these 200 hours, and he said, no, I don't want to pay out. I want hours. I want a vacation. I want to have time off. He discovered that they paid out. They paid out those hours without even his approval, without anything. And that Thayer, in fact, whoever he discussed this with, said that this officer agreed to it, which was a dead lie. So he talked to Frizzo and said he was going up to the manager's office. That's when he went up and waited in the city clerk's office. And that's when he heard bitch. It may have been that bitch, it might have been you bitch, but he definitely heard the phone slam down after he said bitch. He said he was extremely shocked to hear the bitch word, because as a city manager should not be using that for anybody. This officer had a body cam on, and he chose to use it talking to Thayer. Let me tell you, Thayer is not happy, and nor are his attorneys, that this officer turned on his body cam before walking and talking to Thayer. Thayer had no idea he's being filmed, and I think that's one of the reasons she's going to win this case. Yeah, they went off on this officer, and I actually talked with the officer afterwards just a little bit ago about the Michigan wiretapping laws. In the state of Michigan, I can privately record a conversation with anybody as long as I'm in the room. I don't have to tell you that you're being recorded. I don't have to tell you that you're being filmed. If I have a camera on my neck, I can hit the play button, and I've done it. I can hit the play or record button and just sit here and talk to you. And as long as I know it's being recorded, you don't need to know. State laws, I love it. I love it. And I mean, for reference, when I was fired from Domino's Pizza after they abruptly closed, that video is still on YouTube. You can watch that. I secretly recorded my employers and people on the phone concerning that issue, and well, that's totally different. So he recorded conversations where Thayer sat down. He said he was recording conversations because, as union president, David Thayer was lying to him in negotiations for police officers, and that they would have a negotiation the next day talking to somebody else who were dealing with this. Thayer would say, oh, I never said that. Oh, it never went that way. It never happened this way. So the officer said, you know what? I'm just going to start recording stuff because I want proof that what I say is true. With Anthony, the previous officer that testified the day before yesterday, he was in the room as well, where Thayer talks about how he never forgets and he never forgives. That if you double cross him, he will come and get you. Oh, this is great. You guys are gonna love this one. I just learned this just now, just today, from this police officer during this meeting where he said, I never forgive and I never forget. He talks about me in that meeting, me. He said to the officers in the room that he was going to sue me for slander and libel because what I said was absolute bullshit, and that he was going to sue me and take every penny that I had. I never heard any of that. I didn't know that David Thayer, city manager, thought he could sue me for slander. How does somebody that's been in office this long with all of this experience not understand simple things like Michigan wiretapping laws, HIPAA? How does he not understand that he can't sue me? He can't sue me. Who the hell does he think he is? Bring it on. What an idiot. David Thayer is an idiot. David appointed himself as acting police chief after Laura was let go. The new police chief that was just brought on was given days off for the first 6 months. He didn't have to work weekends. He wasn't on call at nights, unlike Laura Frizzo, that was expected to be at work every single day and work great amount of hours. The officer was aware of employees who didn't like Thayer and talked about the 2 women who quit. Talked about a gag order that was issued. David Thayer sent a gag order to all employees, and this just happened October this year. So just 2 months ago, David Thayer issued a gag order to all city employees, police officers, everybody. Do not talk to Laura Frizzo. Come to find out, that gag order was against the law. It violated free speeches, and I can't remember the exact agencies that came forward, but they approached Thayer and said, I'm sorry, but this is against the law. You are violating federal statutes. You cannot issue this gag order as you see fit. So they wrote a second one, and in the second one it still says not to communicate with Laura, which again is a violation of free speech. You cannot tell me who I can or can't talk to. You can't. Cross-examination of the officer by the defense. Talk about the gag order, body cam. They were talking about the body camera. They wanted to know why this officer didn't inform Thayer that he was recording him, and suggested the officer was violating some code of ethics or was breaking some sort of law or was lying. You know what I mean? Like, again, Michigan wiretapping laws, you don't have to tell anybody. I covered that there. Again, they posted another picture on the screen. They asked Thayer to draw a map yesterday of his office. So yesterday, Thayer drew a map on the office, not a very good one. And today they tried to submit it as evidence, and they showed it to the jury up on the big screen. And immediately, objection, please take the image down. They took the image down, and then they ended up using it anyway. But Thayer tried to pinpoint where the officer was that heard him say bitch, and he pinpointed the officer standing in a certain area of the room where Thayer couldn't have seen. So unless Thayer is Superman and can see through walls or has x-ray vision, there's no way in hell that Thayer could have known where this officer was standing when he heard the word bitch being used. We're almost done here, guys. Almost done. Hey, thank you, 30 people watching. It looks like 5 thumbs up. Make sure to give me that thumbs up, because you guys will boost my ratings, and over the next few days, I know more views will come. Says he never heard the tone of Thayer's voice. He wasn't paying attention, but he did hear the word bitch comment and then heard the phone drop. Defense says Laura hung up the phone first before Thayer said bitch. So in fact, Laura never would have heard it. And he did admit that he does not like City Manager David Thayer. And he also talked about people dealing with disgruntled people all the time. It's just part of their job description. They talked about the first gag order, the redirects under Laura's attorneys talking to this officer. They talked about the gag order was a violation of freedom of speech. Second one was issued, which was still actually a violation in its own way. Again, they talked about the map and how he must have been seeing through the wall, and that's pretty much where it ended at today, guys. That was day 4 of testimony. The officer has left the stand. Tomorrow morning, we will see a new witness on the stand. Gosh, what do I want to say here? Oh, okay. Yesterday's video, I want to thank Gary from Virginia. He is a retired police officer, state trooper, who is now disabled. I want to thank him. He sent me $100 on PayPal via the link below. Awesome dude. I really appreciate it. That going in my gas tank, it pays for lunch, it pays for my back and forth stuff. Neil, my buddy Neil from Norway. Others might be familiar with my school bus incidents, or Norway, Michigan, where people are running the stop sign constantly. Neil's the one who filmed that. Neil showed up today with a cinnamon bun from launch that he got at the Hilltop. If you're not familiar with them, they are world famous. They're like this big around. They are huge, huge cinnamon rolls. He actually went up to launch today, bought a cinnamon roll, and brought it here to the courthouse just for Laura. I guess he said he felt bad and just wanted to give her something to appreciate what she did. Dude, that was awesome. Laura was so impressed, and she definitely wants to meet you at another time. All right, let's catch up on some of these comments here. Man, you guys really filled me up here, huh? Ken says he's coming back to watch later. I appreciate it, Ken. All guns matter. What's up? I told Ben my prediction already. He agrees. What about Laura stating Thayer had power to fire her? Well, you know, Thayer did have power to fire her, and I think that was probably what I talked about, how he never forgets, never whatever. Sounds like Caspian. I'm not sure what that was referring to. Got kicked out of the city meeting. Hey, Jason, shout out to you from South Dakota, from Todd Riddle. Hey, buddy, I appreciate it. Shout out to you, sir. What an awesome subject you were tackling now. End of days gone. End of days, good days. Well, you know, it's what I do. If you guys would actually look over my YouTube account, you realize I don't follow panhandlers. That's not what I do. I have videos, but that's not what I do. I don't really know Thayer, but he seems like a sly ball. There's no good reason to fire Laura. That's my opinion. Yes, absolutely. They want everybody's anti-president to stop people from owning guns. Everyone has a second opinion. Absolutely right. Are you still harassing the homeless? Do you see the snow behind me? See the snow behind me? Panhandlers don't panhandle when it's snowing. They go somewhere else. The fact that they drive here in the first place should tell you enough, but no. So to answer your question, Jay, I'm not still harassing homeless. I harass panhandlers. I don't harass homeless. Are you doing any Christmas giveaways to the homeless? Really? I don't like Michigan law. Yeah, well, I suppose some. That officer is smart for doing that. Absolutely. I give him kudos. And again, he's the one that told me that they were talking about wanting to sue me and hated my guts. There are too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Yeah, true. The award goes to David Theater from Nikki Amante. Absolutely right. This country is almost over. God bless you soon. Classics on many levels. I'm shocked. Yeah, sexism in the world today is just crazy, and the way people expect others to, the way people treat others and expect them to do things back. It blows me away. Trisha, I'm actually new on what's going on here. Can someone tell me? Trisha, go check out the hashtag Dead North. Watch the series. Just search on Google Dead North, Laura Frizzo. I guarantee you will love what you watch. This police chief caught a serial murder killer, convicted her, all that good stuff right here in this courthouse behind me, and was fired for what she did. She investigated a murder. She was fired for it. Moto says, glad I'm out of the basement. Thank you, sir. I'm just trying to do this before I go back home. Nikki says, cinnamon rolls are good when warmed up. Hey, they're really good if you make French toast out of them, I'm told. And again, that's the Hilltop in Lance. Go check them out. And they're huge. I love them. Hello from Indiana. I think that was it. Hello from Hudsonville, Michigan. All right, guys. Well, hey, again, that's our conclusion of my day 4 update. Tomorrow we are scheduled to start at 9 a.m. We're only going to be going until about 2 o'clock. They're taking a short day tomorrow. I don't know why. Maybe it's something to do with the juror. Again, please give me that thumbs up or a thumbs down. I really don't care. YouTube works in funny ways. They don't care if it's thumbs down or a thumbs up. It doesn't matter. So the fact that people give me thumbs down, thank you. The fact that you give me thumbs up, thank you. Make sure you're a subscriber. Make sure you click that little bell up on top so you know when I go live, so you'll know when I do this. If you're not a subscriber, I'm told you can't even see this live video I'm doing. I don't know if that's true or not when you guys tell me. Also, all the comments that you guys just made, they will not, I don't know if you can see them on a cell phone, but on my home computer, once I post this video, all of these comments will be gone. So you'll have to remake your comments, and I will respond back and answer any questions you might have. Again, make a comment below. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from where you're from. I want to hear about what you think about Dead North. I want to hear what you think about this case and what you think the outcome will be. Please leave a comment below. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Instagram. Those links are down below. Twitter, check me out there. And as always, say it again, if anybody feels they would like to help me driving, it's 70 miles round trip back and forth. I spend all day here, and this is expected to be a 10-day trial. If you like what you're watching, if you like my content and you want to give, my PayPal link is down below. You can send something. And again, thank you to Gary, retired state trooper from Indiana, Virginia, for your $100 donation. It really will come in handy, and I will use it here. So again, thanks guys for joining me tonight. Getting in a van, driving home 35 miles, and going home to be with my family. So you guys have an awesome night. And as always, get out and explore where you live. Be part of the community. Get out and watch court cases. Do something. Don't just sit in your basement or in your house and type on the computer. Have a great day, everybody. Have a beautiful night.